Hi everybody, can you say hi? Say hi. This one gets shy. So welcome to Josiah is Right, and my dog is walking around too. So this one, who knows, she's a wild card, and Akira is also a wild card because he won't sit down. He's barking at the neighbors, and he doesn't bark much. So this is my top 10 toys of 2021. So I don't really do as much toy content. This is sort of like about a line or something like that. But I wanted to do a top 10 because I actually acquired at least 10 figures this year. And I think these all came out in 2021. I'm not 100% sure. Can I give you the first action figure?
Okay.
So number 10 is Legion. You wanna hold Legion?
No.
Why don't you like Legion? Is he scary?
Yeah.
She gets scared quite easily. So Legion was really surprising that I liked. So you'll see that I got the entire wave 2 or 3, I think, of the Age of Apocalypse line because it had that Magneto, which is higher up in this list.
I want to get down.
You want to get down?
Yes.
Okay.
Wee.
Bye. And so he surprised me. Just such a simple figure, but it looks really cool, and I wish he was a little bit more crazy looking and less sneery, but it's still a cool figure, right? Number 9, as long as I'm counting right here, is Jitsu. And this is because Penny picked this one out for me for Christmas. And I do like this line. I don't really collect it. I have a few. Everyone I have except for Evelyn was given to me. Like my friend Brian gave me Skeletor, technically gave it to Penny. And then this one Penny gave to me for Christmas. And Evelyn I bought because the vintage one, the leg bands finally broke and Penny was upset, so we bought a modern one. So I'm happy to have this. I do wish it had the action feature, but it looks great. And these are so posable. They're great display figures. They go great with the vintage ones. They still hold up next to them. So my vintage Castle Grayskull looks cool with that. And he kind of is more representative of the few that I have and I like, even though I don't foresee myself collecting a lot of these, but I like him a lot. And Prim is just sitting in the chair down there right now. So I framed this so that Primmy could be here, but life goes on. Number 8 is Iron Man. This one might have come out the previous year, I don't know, 2020, 2021, but this is the AI Iron Man, and I didn't care for it because that AI, I don't, I just want the Tony Stark face. I would totally I like the way it looks, but in terms of the meaning of the figure, it's insignificant to me. But this reminds me of Secret Wars Iron Man, so I really love this figure like this as just an Iron Man figure. You all right?
Yeah.
Okay, she's walking around coughing now. So that's kind of why I like this one. This is the only one that I'm not sure about what year it came out, but I like it. What's wrong with Akira? You want to come back up? Getting into most of this is the Age of Apocalypse wave. I love this Iceman figure. I switched out his hands because Penny didn't want the real super clawy ones. But she likes this figure a lot too. Penny likes that wave. The Kitty Pryde is probably her favorite, which didn't make my top 10, but it's still a cool figure. I love that the way the claws come off and are interchangeable. And I also got Apocalypse for that line, but I'm pretty sure he's an older figure. He was a Christmas gift this year. I don't think he came out in 2021. I lost track of these things. And Prim, yeah, come on over. You wanna hold Iceman?
No.
I have one for you. You can hold in a minute. So he's a. I love that figures exist from this weird caveat of X-Men history that I was really into at the time. So Primmy, come here. You want to hold Rogue? Come on up.
Yes.
Come on up.
Yes.
So this is Primmy's favorite figure. So you want to hold Rogue? So what do you like about Rogue? She's cool. So when we play with, I let the girls play, and I do let them play with these under supervision. They are still toys, and I open them up, and they're really careful. The big one more so than this little person, but she's getting better. So Penny will pick Kitty Pryde as her favorite, and this is Prim's figure of choice, kind of by default, because it's the only female in that wave other than Kitty Pryde, but she loves it. So this figure has like sort of the flaws of making these. Like, my least favorite figure in the line is the Cyclops, which I'll show you a cut to a clip or something. I can't reach it right now. But the way the hair is, it's so funky. And I never liked, that's the one that I didn't like the design of the comics. I love the design in the comics of this Rogue. Like the big boots, the sort of weird billowy arm sleeves things, the way her hair is, the weird cut of her hair. You want to get down again? So it doesn't... It's tough to make this as an action figure, like for playable purposes. Like if you look at her head, the way the hair looks, it's weird. Thank you. I left the door open. So it just looks funky, but it's just from... It's like this is a recreation of that image of the comic. It's great, but it's also got its flaws, but it's kind of because of what it is without being terrible like the Cyclops. Although again, the Cyclops is probably my least favorite design from within the comics. And hi kid. I wish I had a camera on Prim crawling underneath my tripod and not hitting the sticks at all. Don't hit the legs of that tripod. Yeah. You want to show that to everybody? Show your toy? Oh, come on up. Come on up.
Okay.
So Primmy is back up for a second. Primmy has this is from Comic Book Hideout in Fullerton, and they sell these little guys. They're handmade, and they're like $5 to $10 each, maybe, I think. Probably about 10, but they're all handmade. So we have a bunch of these little guys because I can't go in there and I buy comics, and I was getting free comics too in their free deal. And even though I didn't buy comics that month, I definitely bought about 4 of those. So the girls have various ones of those throughout. So that's her top toy, I guess. And it was ironically in Castle Grayskull down here. Go around the other way, Prim. The dog is here. Prim is trying to get around. So this is the Magneto from that wave. And this is up there with my favorite Magnetos ever. Because it's just simple. Like, it just looks like Magneto the costume. But then the craziness of the braids and everything, again, it just recreates it. But the great thing about it is just the way the figure itself is just really simple. I think that's why this one works so well. It's not so crazy like maybe, you know, what you got going on here with the spikiness. It's still really cool, but it just, if you swapped out a head to a different head, you could just have Magneto. And for some reason that works for me. But then the fact that I have a braided hair Magneto figure is awesome. I never had the originals again. I did have the Apocalypse, even though, like I said, I have Apocalypse from this line, but I'm not showing him for this series, even though he is one of my favorite figures. I didn't have the braided hair Magneto, and for whatever reason, I guess I'm into braided hair Magneto. I love the fact that I have James Earl Jones with braided hair and bangs like my daughter, like Penny. Not this daughter. Okay, so I'm gonna count here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Dad.
4. Number 4. The Build-A-Figure from that line, the kind of figure I never thought I'd see in this form, is the most ridiculous, wacky 90s Colossus. Generation Next, I think, was the comic. I love this figure so much because it's so ridiculous, so 90s. I love Colossus, and so I love variations of Colossus, and it doesn't get more insane than this in a good way, in a 90s way. The way his straps are weirdly loose. What's the point of that? But it just looks so 90s in the shoulder piece. What does this do when you have, functionally, what's with his costume in some terms, but it just looked great, at least at the time. And it's cool that there's an action figure of it. I love Colossus. I love this sort of intense, battle-worn version of him. So he's one of my favorite X-Men, probably. And no, not probably. He is one of my favorite X-Men. And the kid is going crazy down there. Do you want to hold Colossus?
No.
She gets scared by these intense figures. Penny doesn't faze her at all. If you watch some of my older videos with Penny is at school right now, so we're doing this with the new kid. Do you want back up? No. Penny would just be telling you all about these toys more than me. Number 2, we're finally getting to something that's not like X-Men here. We had only one non-X-Men. So the NECA Chrome Dome figure. I don't really collect that much NECA. I have a few, but this could get me started. I loved Chrome Dome. I have a video that I found of Christmas 1990 when I got this figure, and it's one that you can distinctly see is Chrome Dome here. Can you give me that sword, Prim? Can you help get me that? But I love here the detail you have of the swords and things, and it looks like the comic. It would be cool if they had a version of this that was like maybe an alternate version that had the chrome that you see from the toy version, but this, you know, is meant to look like the cartoon, and I appreciate it for what it is. But it would be kind of cool if that were a thing, just for, because that was one of my favorite original figures. And it's funny because as a kid, I wasn't aware that he was small. I wasn't aware that it should have been like the size of the big Krang, which I did have, but you know, he was even like too short compared to the other figures, actually, if I remember correctly. I don't have him anymore. Unfortunately, he didn't survive my childhood. He got sold off to buy a house at one point. But this is definitely one of my favorites. And honestly, like, I don't see myself diving full on into the neck and turtle line, but a few to sort of complement the Super 7 stuff, because I really like the Super 7 stuff that's sort of based off the toys, whereas this is based off the cartoon, at least this line. I know I have some of the movie line, just the 4 turtles. I would love the Super Shredders. There's a few that I would want to get, and kind of just those ones to sort of complement my collection as opposed to getting into collecting it. So I'll put this guy back down. He's so like heavy too. That's what I love about it. I don't want to, so he doesn't fall. And number 2, which could arguably be my number 1 for different reasons, but the Metalhead Turtle. I love what Super 7 does with these. I kind of slowed my collecting of them, but this is one of my favorite, maybe my favorite vintage figure I have still from when I was a kid. It wasn't like one that I sold and replaced or lost and replaced. It was the one that I had that I made sure no matter what I kept. And there's only so many toys that I can tell you for sure. I can tell you which ones were those ones that I never let go of. Some, you know, like I said, I sold and I never replaced maybe, or I found at a thrift store or whatever. But for the most part, there's only maybe a third of my collection that is legit vintage original. This is one of them. So I love the original figure, and I love this version of it. It's so cool. This isn't the head, but there's another head that you can do the thing like the original where the light comes through. It doesn't work as well because this head is bigger than that one, so the light has to go further, so the eyes don't light as well. You have to like really get the light in there, but it's still an awesome turtle. It goes great with the rest. I have 3 of these now. There's a couple more that I definitely want, but I got a lot of, for me, this is a lot of toys. One entire wave of figures for Age of Apocalypse, that's a lot of toys. So that's me. And so, of course, the one toy that could have just been my one toy for the year, the Hazlab Sentinel. Prim, are you afraid of this?
No.
Do you want to come up with me? Come here. Come here. Come on up. Oh, you want to sit by me or no? So Prim used to be actually afraid of this. She is okay with it now. She doesn't want to sit with me, but she will now like acknowledge it, and she'll have me, turn it back on. She'll have me turn on the lights in his chest and eyes and stuff. This is the most awesome, ridiculous toy ever. The articulation and the hands and stuff is just so cool. You can hold your other X-Men. The battle damage, those tentacle things that come out of his hands. I didn't do any kind of proper review of this, and maybe I still will. I filmed an unboxing with the kids that I never posted anywhere. Mine does have the problem with the loose knees. You can't really see, because when this figure, if I have him like this, watch this. See, that didn't take much for him to fall back like that. So like faults in it like that. I saw online tutorials about like how to fix it. I shouldn't have to, but still, I won't let that knock this figure because it is awesome. It's my favorite modern figure probably ever because it's just so big and ridiculous. It's, you know, in scale to these guys, which is just insane and awesome. I can have Iceman here battling it out with a Sentinel, and you know, he holds him quite effortlessly, and the way you can maneuver those fingers to grab, it's pretty awesome. And this is definitely my favorite toy of the year. The only thing I would say, it's not quite a traditional action figure, so that's why Metalhead maybe is my favorite, like normal action figure, obviously. But this is just a really big action figure. I remember once I went to a comic book store and they had half off of all graphic novels and like trades. And it included the omnibus like ones. So I got like the Spider-Man omnibus and a couple other ones. And I was like, does it include those? Because those, $100, and then they were half off that. And he's like, yeah, they're just really big comic books, or really big graphic novels, just a really big action figure. So that is my top 10 for the year. What do you think of the top 10, Prim?
What?
Do you like the action figures?
Yes.
She likes the action figures. So that is it. Thank you for watching. Happy New Year. You say Happy New Year to everybody? She's hiding her face, but smiling. Thank you. Bye.